Matthew chapter number 6, verses 16, 17, and 18. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou fast, anoint thy head, and wash thy face, that thou appearest not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret. And thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Christ once again is addressing the hypocrisy of the church leaders. Notice, Christ never said anything was wrong with fasting. In fact, he encouraged fasting. But we can see all the way from the very first verse of the 6th chapter, Christ is warning about the self-centered hypocrisy of the scribes and Pharisees. Because they did everything to exalt their own selves and didn't care about God. They really didn't care about God. He talks about them in his first verse about giving alms, how they was doing good deeds to be seen of men. Then he goes on, he talks about their prayer, how when they prayed loud and in the temple and in the street corners where men can see. Now he's going on, he's talking about when they fast, they disfigure their faces. They make themselves look so pious. But they really didn't care about God. And fasting goes back so many places in the scriptures. You can read here 2 Samuel 12th chapter verse number 16. It's talking about what David had fast for the first son that he had with Bathsheba when it was an adulterous relationship. Then it goes on, Nehemiah 1 and 4 talks about fasting. Esther, when she went before the king, she had the people to fast for her, and she fasted herself. And we can go back all the way to Leviticus 23rd chapter and the 27th verse. If you want to read the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, is when God commanded his people to fast, and that's in the 23rd chapter verse number 27. So you can read all of that at your pleasure, but this goes back to the same circle that Christ is telling us about. If you do it in secret, then God will reward you openly. We should do our good deeds and believe and trust in God, and he will reward us. Because if we fast to be seen, then it's no good. Now, the Jewish people taught fasting is not a self-inflicted punishment. It's not a way of trying to inflict a maximum amount of pain on your body. But they taught it was a way, and so the scriptures teach, denying yourself for a specific period of time to draw yourself closer to God spiritually, from abstaining from the physical elements of the world. Now, the Bible always teaches prayer and fasting. The Bible doesn't give a lot of credence to you just going without food only, but it's supposed to be a spiritual state where you're meditating on God, you're seeking God, you are petitioning God for something or someone. And that's why Fasting is all of the time coupled with prayer in the front. Just so there will be a clear and distinct path. If you are fasting and not praying, not seeking God, not dedicating your thoughts or your heart for something, not dedicating your mind, then you are just not eating or drinking. People do have cleansing mechanisms where they stop eating, and nothing's wrong with that. But when the Bible talks about prayer, when the Bible talks about fasting, it talks about fasting coupled with prayer in the front. And that's the way we should think about it. Prayer and fasting unto God, not ourselves. God, we thank you for a mind to want to seek you and come before you with prayer and fasting, that you will have your way. Help us to crucify our flesh, Lord, that you may rule. God, we do not love food more than we love you, God. We love you, Jesus, more than anything. Thank God. Amen.